Have you ever wondered who runs the world? You might think it would be the President of America, who is soon to be Donald Trump again. Well, it's not him. Maybe it's Xi Jinping, the leader of China. No, not him either. Okay, then maybe it's Russia and their president/dictator Vladimir Putin. They've been a great power for centuries and they must have built up a lot of control and influence over that time. Well, yes, they have, but again, it's still a no. Well, if it's not the ruler of one of these great and powerful countries, then who or what could it possibly be? The true rulers of the world have never been politicians, elected officials, leaders, kings or presidents or any other title. The people in the front that you see are merely there for show. They're the ones that like to show off, feel important and have a title. But the true control in life comes from being anonymous, operating behind the curtain and remaining as unseen as you can. Yes, the elected officials and politicians can make some of the rules, but who decides what rules these people put forward? Well, that's the billionaires and trillionaires behind the scenes, buying them off to push forward new laws that benefit them. Now, you might think that you would have to be a billionaire to be able to start paying off politicians to get anywhere in life. But according to a former BlackRock recruiter, Sergey Varlay, it's much easier and cheaper than you think. Now, BlackRock is probably a name you've heard of before, the biggest asset management company with trillions of dollars under management. But they're just part of a long list of hidden individuals vying for power and control. And with Donald Trump's re-election, it might be worth knowing who's bought your president and who is really running the world. Now, depending on the level of power and influence that the politician that you want to buy has, can massively affect the price. And according to Sergey Varlay, a US senator can be bought for as little as $10,000.
Yep, you can buy your candidates. Obviously, we have the system in place. First, there's the senators, and these guys are rich. You got 10 grand, you can buy a senator.
So whilst you can allegedly buy a US senator for around $10,000, at least according to Sergey, to buy someone like the US president or be able to run the world from behind the scenes, you are going to need a lot more than just a few $1,000s. You're going to need at least a few billion to really get started and make it worthwhile. Or in the case of BlackRock, maybe something more like a few trillion. And with those trillions of dollars under management, it allows you to dictate just about anything that you want. BlackRock doesn't like how your company is ran? Well, you change the company operations. BlackRock doesn't like a specific law that's being passed at state level? Yeah, you change that as well. In this world we live in, whatever BlackRock says goes. And it's all for the simple reason that BlackRock is likely the one that actually owns your company. Meaning if they pull out their investment in you, everyone will hear about it and do the same, meaning you end up being bankrupt. The same happens on state and national levels too. BlackRock is the largest housing and property owner in the US and continues to fund infrastructure projects, meaning if they pull out, who else is going to fund such projects to the scale of BlackRock? No one is the answer. So if you're a politician and not improving infrastructure along with other key projects, you're not going to be voted in for much longer. The influence of money over everything from your life to the entire world can't be understated. So if you want to start buying politicians and dictating what happens, you're going to need to start making more and buying everything you can. In the words of Sergey Varlay, the former BlackRock recruiter, you acquire, you keep acquiring, you spend whatever you make in acquiring more. And there is nobody better in the business of acquiring more than BlackRock, who currently has over $10 trillion in assets under management, meaning that if they were a country, they would be the fourth largest country in terms of assets owned, being behind only Japan, China, and the US. With this massive management pool, it allows them access and insight to just about everything they could want, including where everyone else's money in the economy is flowing. So with that information, you can allow the government access to some of this knowledge, not all, because nobody becomes irrelevant quicker than someone who reveals all their secrets. With this information, the government now becomes solely dependent on you to continue providing it to them. No one else can come close to the power of BlackRock, so nobody else is going to have the level of information that they do. Governments, politicians, and central banks have become more and more dependent on BlackRock as time has passed, with the US Federal Reserve and European Central Bank both being part of BlackRock's Financial Markets Advisory Group, where they contact BlackRock for forecasting and information regarding nearly every decision they make and how it will affect the economy of each respective country and countries. This allows BlackRock even more information on what the future of each central bank holds, because they now know what they plan to do, allowing BlackRock the opportunity to profit off of these future moves, and potentially allowing some of this information to slip to politicians and congressmen in the US as part of a bribe to keep them on their side. After all, with the congressional trading scandal back in 2020 when that was brought to light, it's obvious that the people in the US Congress are trading off of some form of inside information, and it's not hard to make a guess that some of this information may be coming from BlackRock directly. They've become an absolute necessity for the function of these governments and politicians in the way the current system operates, from helping with the sale of Bear Stearns following the 2008 financial crisis, and also helping bail out the government during the 2020 pandemic crash, along with even helping the Vatican organise their finances. The entrenchment of BlackRock in the entire world order runs deeper than anyone can possibly imagine, and any elected politician or president claiming to change that system is likely going to be unable to do so. Partly because they're lying about being able to or wanting to change it, since it's the system that got them there in the first place, but also because it's basically impossible. Any attempt to change the system will get them kicked right out of the place they worked and lied so hard to get to. The funding that President Trump received to get him back into office has come from some of the biggest, most influential and controlling people on the planet, and what some of them may want in return might be scarier than what you can imagine. For example, Peter Thiel, who you might know as possibly the biggest angel investor in Silicon Valley. He's bankrolled all 3 of Trump's presidential campaigns and helped secure JD Vance as his vice president. Part of the somewhat infamous PayPal Mafia, a name given to the group of people who originally formed PayPal and have pretty much all gone on to entirely run Silicon Valley, either as angel investors or founding some of the biggest companies in the world that you use today. Peter is a master of control with his company Palantir, a company specializing in data analytics, and also something called pre-crime detection. Basically, mass surveillance of everything you do to detect people who may commit a crime in the future. So you could expect a few big contracts heading the way of Peter and his companies in return for returning Trump to power. Along with the likes of David Sacks and Elon Musk, also part of the PayPal Mafia, who were big parts of Trump's campaigns also. With Elon having made almost all of his money through government contracts and subsidies, with SpaceX getting contracts from NASA, Starlink helping provide data to US drones, and Tesla earning almost all of their money through carbon credits and carbon credit trading, it's pretty likely to assume that the reward will be some more big contracts landing on their desks as well. And that's pretty much all it takes. Bankroll the odd political campaign, make a generous political donation here and there and provide an endorsement, and you now have a loyal friend who owes you everything they have, which you can just keep holding over them for as long as they're in office. Now, there are political campaign donation limits, however I'm sure with your vast billions of dollars, you've learned how to get slightly creative at times along the way, and can figure out a workaround for that issue. After all, everyone else has figured out a way around it, so I believe you can too. And if the politician you want to buy is already in a position, then you can just lobby for your ideas, where you basically pay to have a meeting with them and tell them how good it would be for them to pass a law that benefits you. And them, of course. The cost to buy a politician can be incredibly cheap, at least in comparison to what some of these billionaires have just lying around. With a lot of US politicians earning between $100,000 to maybe even $200,000 a year, if you offer them as little as $500,000, you could have just given them anywhere from 2 to 5 times their yearly wage, which for a billionaire like you is basically pocket change. And this pocket change can buy you potentially billions in return. Because let's say that you buy a politician from either side of the political parties in the US, you'd only need to spend maybe $1 million. Now it doesn't matter which party wins, because you've got to weigh in no matter what. To say the game of politics isn't working properly isn't true at all. The game is working exactly as intended, to benefit those who make the rules. It's like a high roller poker game and we just don't have the money to buy in. After all, in a market full of regulators and regulations, the first thing to be bought is the regulators.